I was so afraid about people judging me. I was so afraid what people would think. I felt like, who am I to do this? I felt like a fraud. I didn't feel like I could do it. The power of our thoughts, the power of the things that we say to ourselves, it shapes our entire lives. I went from telling myself I don't know what to do to stopping, drawing a line in the sand, making a decision, working on myself, changing the way I was thinking, changing the way I was showing up. And then I watched my whole life transform. So I received a really heartbreaking message recently, and it's inspired me to create this podcast episode because I know that so many people feel the same way, and I know I have felt this way on so many occasions too. And so I'm dedicating this episode to anyone who feels like they're carrying the weight of their dreams. You have these dreams and these ideas, but you feel like it's not happening. You feel like there's a glass wall between where you are now and where you want to be, and you just feel like it's not possible to break through. Your mind is clouded with these fears and doubts and worries. Your perhaps self-talk is particularly bad. You don't even know whether you can even make it happen or if you've got the skills to make it happen. And it feels really heavy because you really want to figure it out and break through that glass wall, but you just feel like it's so far from your reality. It's so far from happening. So I mean, I've been in that place so many times, and I remember being stuck there for a really long time, and it's a heavy, frustrating place to be where you can feel unsure as to like how you're actually going to move forward, and you desperately want to get out of that situation. So I want to read the message that came in, although I'm going to miss some bits out. And then I really want to share some of the things that have helped me and some fun little things you can do which can make a big difference. But first, here is the message that was sent in. It said this: I don't believe enough in my ideas or my competence to complete them, and so I always get stuck. I start full of energy, and then that melts away in a cycle of stress and pain, and then I am in total stress and completely discouraged. I can't imagine me living my dream life or making money. I really can't. And then when I am a little bit good, then at some point my body and mind stops me. It feels like it tells me that I don't deserve real luck or success, and that I am a fool to believe that I can make something of my online business. Also, everybody around me tells me to stop with it and just to focus on my family and kids so I don't have the severe migraines, but I can't stop dreaming and wanting to succeed in business and have a career. So I know that so many of us experience this. I know so many of us feel like, are we even competent enough to do what we need to do? I know so many of us feel like we can't imagine actually breaking through and getting to the place we want to be, creating that success. And that's really hard. That's really a tough place to be. And I know because, like I said before, I remember being in that place. I remember crying my eyes out on my bed one time because I really just wanted to figure out how to break through. And it felt so unbelievably frustrating knowing that I had these dreams, these ideas, but not knowing how to actually bring them to life. It felt like it was all bubbling up inside of me, and I didn't know how to really get it out there and turn it into something successul. And I would start things and stop things. I remember even the idea for the Female Entrepreneur Association, I had for 3 years before I did anything about it. Well, I did do stuff about it in that 3 years. I came up with multiple different names for it. I bought multiple different domain names. I set up multiple different websites, and then I would freeze. And I felt like I just didn't know how to progress it from there because it felt so terrified, and I was so afraid about people judging me. I was so afraid what people would think. I felt like, who am I to do this? I felt like a fraud. I didn't feel like I could do it. I wasn't giving myself permission to do it. And so I was holding back. And in that place, I just really struggled. And I know that this is a cycle that so many of us get trapped in. And it's crazy how powerful our minds are. It's crazy. Well, it's interesting, I think, the power of our thoughts, the power of the things that we say to ourselves. It shapes our entire lives. And for me back then, I was really not talking nicely to myself. I made myself constantly feel like a failure. I made myself feel like I didn't know what I was doing. My mantra to myself, without obviously realizing it, was, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. It was like every day I was hypnotizing myself, constantly telling myself, you don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I'm stuck. I'm stuck. I don't know how to make this work, constantly. And so when we say those things to ourselves, we're literally training our brains to believe that's the truth. So they find that they go look for evidence that that's the truth. That's what your brain does. And so every day I was telling it I don't know what to do. So every day it was like finding me evidence that I didn't know what to do. And I stayed stuck in that cycle. And I remember obviously reaching a point where I just couldn't bear it anymore. And I remember, this Tony Robbins quote that said, 10 years from now, you'll surely arrive. The question is where. And I remember thinking, I don't know, in 10 years, where the hell I'm going to arrive if I carry on like this. Like, I can't keep doing this to myself. It's so draining and exhausting. And so I knew that I needed to change. I knew that the only way my life would change is if I changed, if I pulled myself up and out of the hole that I felt that I was in. That was the only way. And at times it felt like impossible, because I felt like I was so low down in the hole. The idea of being able to pull myself out of it felt like it was just an impossible task, but I knew I had to do it. And so I went on this journey to figure out how I could essentially condition myself for success. And in doing that, it changed my entire life. My entire life changed. And then I went from being really anxious, having ridiculously bad heart palpitations because of my level of anxiousness around what I was doing. I went from telling myself, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to do, to stopping, drawing a line in the sand, making a decision, working on myself, changing the way I was thinking, changing the way I was showing up, and proactively working on how I was feeling. And then I watched my whole life transform. I went from feeling very, very, very stuck to actually deciding on something and starting to take tiny little steps. And within, literally within 2 years, I made a lot of mistakes and along the way, don't get me wrong, and I had a lot of blocks to continue to overcome, and I'm still overcoming. But within 2 years, I was invited to Buckingham Palace to sit around a table to talk about entrepreneurship in the UK. And it was with Prince Andrew, and now he's kind of ruined my story with his scandals. But I was there and I was like, this is crazy. Less than 2 years ago or 2 years ago, I was stuck in my own way, going around in circles, feeling like I'd never figure this out. And now I'm in Buckingham Palace, sat with Prince Andrew and a bunch of really successful people talking about entrepreneurship. And don't get me wrong, I did have my imposter syndrome, fraudulent thoughts coming up of Carrie, why are you here? How are you here? Everyone else is really successful and you are not. But I was like, I'm just going to enjoy this. This is crazy. I actually had dinner next to Prince Andrew as well. And all I kept thinking is, oh my gosh, he's got the Queen's teeth. He kind of, it just looked a lot like, obviously reminded me of the Queen. And, yeah, it was wild. Anyway, that was before his scandals. But I remember thinking, this is wild. And I realized when you crack yourself open, when you are the change, then it's like you allow magic to flow into your life. And it doesn't mean it's perfect. It doesn't mean it's not messy. It doesn't mean it's not overwhelming and crazy at times. But wow, the magic you let in is so incredible. And I went on to building a really successful business, making honestly tens of millions, which just blows my mind, writing a best-selling book, impacting the lives of so many people in ways that I don't even think I can comprehend, because I finally got to a place where I had the courage to show up and speak up and take action on my dreams and go for it. And no one else can give you permission to do it. You are the only person that can give you permission. And the way I see it is, and the thing that I told myself is, we get one life. We're not going to be here forever. And do you want to get to the end of it all and think, oh, why didn't I just go for it? Why didn't I just do it? Why did I not just ignore those people that told me to just stop? Why did I keep telling myself that I couldn't do it? Why did I condition myself every single day to be stuck, to feel trapped by myself, to tell myself I'm not good enough, I'm not competent enough? Why did I train my brain in that way? Why? Why didn't I make a shift? Why didn't I start telling myself I could do it? Why didn't I start telling myself that this is my life and I'm going to choose how I'm going to live it, and I want this to be happy, and I want it to be amazing, and I want to achieve amazing things, and I want to see what's possible for myself? Why? Because at that point, at the end of it all, you cannot go back and redo it. You cannot go back and make better decisions. You cannot go back and decide to think differently and to act differently and to show up differently. You can't. And when I realized that, I was like, oh, this changes now, not tomorrow, not next week, not next year, now. Because this is what we've got now, is all we've got to play with. We cannot put off and keep putting off things. If you are training yourself, if you are stuck in a place of self-loathing and just serious like imposter syndrome, and you're consumed by doubts and fears and worries, like you have to, well, you don't have to, but I think it's wise to decide, I'm going to figure this out and I'm going to change it. And it's even a subtle shift of going from I can't do this, I'm not competent, to maybe I am capable. What if I can figure this out? What if I can? Shifts everything. And I've found in my journey of rewiring myself that it's sometimes only really small, subtle things that can have a huge difference. Like, I don't think this is about shouting from the rooftops. I don't think this is about doing something crazy. I think these are very small, tiny, subtle shifts that we start to make, which often when you start doing this work, no one around you is even going to know you're doing it. But then they'll start to spot it, because you will then start to really change and you'll blossom. And here's also the truth. When we give ourselves permission to blossom and to shine bright, some people around us are going to freak out about that, and they're going to want us to stay small, and they're going to want us to not do that. And most of the time it's coming from a place of love, because they don't know any different, and they're, I don't know, worried, and they want to protect us. And sometimes it's obviously based out of fear of jealousy, or it makes them think like, oh, but I'm playing small, and if she starts playing big, then I'm going to feel even worse about myself. So that I do think that does happen when we choose to shine and to blossom. So kind of keep an eye on that and who you're surrounding yourself with. But ultimately, we get to choose. In fact, my kids at the moment are obsessed with Moana 2. And so we listen to the Moana 2 soundtrack on repeat. I think I know all the words. And then one of the songs, the grandmother comes back and she says this line, and the line is, might not exactly be this, but it's something like this. Every day we get to choose who we are. Every day we get to choose who we are. That is so powerful, because we're not always what we think we are. We're not the doubts. We're not the fears. We're not that. That's not who we are. And all of us have the ability to redefine who we want to be, who we are being, who we are showing up as, every single one of us. So for me, with my struggles, it reached a point where I thought, I can't go on like this anymore. I need to redefine me. I need to redefine how I want to show up. I really need to redefine the things I tell myself, the way I talk to myself, the things I think about, the way I feel. It's on me. It's on me. Only me. And I need to figure this out. And I say this where, obviously there's we're all different. And I'm only sharing this from my experience. People who have experienced really big traumas in their life, we all go through things, but, we all go through things in different ways or on different levels. So there might be some people who actually really need to go to therapy and really need to work through some of their big blocks and some of the things they've got going on. I didn't do therapy, but I've really, really immersed myself and worked on myself, and that has worked for me. I'm sure going to therapy would also probably really help me. So I'm not saying not to do that, but I'm just sharing it from my experiences. So I've got 6 things that I want to share that I think could be really helpful. And I want to get into them with you. And I really hope you enjoy doing these things. If you're in that place where you're feeling a little bit stuck, you need to hit reset. You want to start to rewire your mind, condition yourself for success a bit more. I think this is probably the most profound, most powerful, most impactful journey we can ever go on as human beings, is this one of deep, deep inner work and conditioning ourselves, rewiring ourselves in the way we want to, so that we can live the most amazing lives, because that's what we're here for. I really think we're here to experience life to its fullest and to be the fullest true expressions of ourselves, and not play small. We're not here to play small. So I think these 6 things have really helped me, and I hope they help you to unlock that magic that is within you. So the first thing that I think is really powerful is to write a list of tiny truths. So basically, sometimes when we have been stuck in a place where we're telling ourselves, I can't do this, I can't do that, and we're constantly repeating all the fears and the doubts and the worries, it becomes hard to think we could shift to completely turning that around. Like the idea of the complete opposite thought of that, of like, I can do this, I can make it happen, just feels totally unrealistic. So I think a really good starting point is to just kind of get reconnected with the tiny truths that you do believe in about yourself, that are actually positive things. And so you can really reconnect with your truth in a good way. So for example, writing down a truth might be, I really deeply care about my dreams. That could be a truth, like that's true. Or maybe another truth is, I really, really want to create an amazing life for my family. Maybe deep down that is a truth that you are carrying. I deeply, truly believe and know that I want to create an amazing life for myself and my family. Maybe another truth is, I have overcome hard things. I know I can overcome hard things because I have overcome hard things. So you just want to write a list of tiny truths. Try tiny truths that you know about yourself, that are positive about yourself, that help you to realize that what is important to you, and also that what you are capable of. And so that's where I want you to start, is just get out a journal or a piece of paper and just write down some tiny truths that you know about yourself. That's the first step. The second step is, every single day, try and journal your one next step. So often I think that we hold ourselves back and we get stuck because we overwhelm ourselves thinking that we need to know step 100 when we're on step 1. And then we panic and we freeze and we talk ourselves out of it because it feels like a mountain that we need to climb. But actually, when we just think about the next one little tiny step that we need to take, it becomes doable. So if every morning when you wake up, you write down your one next tiny step filled with love and kindness, it's going to help you to start to make some momentum and some progress in the direction of your dreams. So write down what next little tiny step of love that would help you to actually move in the direction. So what's one thing that will help me to move in the direction of my dreams today? What's one tiny little small thing that I could do that will help me to move in the direction of my dreams today? And maybe it's, I'm going to listen to this podcast, or maybe it's, I am going to sit down and spend 30 minutes thinking about my ideas, or I'm going to spend some time in this group. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It's just you consistently every single day, training your brain, training your body and yourself that you're going to show up and you're going to take a tiny step in the direction of your dreams. Because if you can commit to that and you can start just doing one thing a day and writing it down, even just writing down one small tiny act of kindness and love that will help move you in the direction of your dream, one step that you can take, that is going to start to condition you to show up and look for that and do that kind of stuff. And it's really, really powerful. The next thing that I think is super important is to rewire your mind, to start really rewiring your thoughts. And for me, this is one of the most powerful shifts that I made. When I would constantly have these thoughts of I can't do this, or whatever it was, it was this NLP technique that I learned when I did my master practitioner a very long time ago. And it was basically this exercise where when you have one of those thoughts, you just say stop. So like if I was thinking an anxious thought, I would catch myself. I would say stop. I would then imagine scrunching the thought up like it was a piece of paper and throwing it behind me. But the other really powerful thing you can do is you can reframe a thought. So stop and do that, but then reframe it to a what if. So for example, if you're thinking, I'm never going to make this work, maybe your what if is actually, what if I'm capable of doing this? What if I am capable? And that shift is so powerful because it opens up the mind in a really incredible way for new thoughts to flood in. And so constantly doing that reframe of what if. So what if, I feel like I'm going to look like a fool, or I feel like I'm going to really embarrass myself. Maybe then it's, what if I have the courage to go for this and I actually help other people? Like, what if? I do this with my kids all the time. I think it's so important because, in fact, my kids, they call themselves the figure-outables, and I really encourage them to really think about what they're saying and what they're thinking, because our words are powerful. Like we spell our words, and they say like our words like cast spells. We are casting spells on ourselves every single day. What spells are you casting on yourself? And start casting better spells, because our words have so much power in them. And so, for example, Marley, my little girl, when she turned 4, she wanted to learn how to ride a bike, and she'd had like a balance bike, and she'd had a bike with stabilizers on, and she was learning how to ride it without the stabilizers, and she obviously was wobbling and it wasn't going very well. And I started whispering in her ear, I am mighty Marley and I can do this. And at first because she was like, I can't do this. And I was like, I am mighty Marley and I can do this. And she wouldn't say it. She go, I can't do this. And then I was like, I am mighty Marley and I can do this. Say it with me. I am mighty Marley and I can do this. So then she started whispering it really quietly with me. And then we started getting louder and louder until she was shouting at the top of her lungs, I am mighty Marley and I can do this. Within, I promise you, like 10 minutes, she was riding that bike and she was shouting, I am mighty Marley and I can do this. I have the video. I'll have to share it at some point. But it's so powerful what we tell ourselves, because our brain will look for evidence of what we tell it. So if she's like, I can't do this, her brain is going to look for evidence that she can't do it. If she says, I am mighty Marley and I can do this, her brain will look for evidence that she is mighty and that she can do it, and she will do it. So what spells are we casting on ourselves, and how can you reframe what you're saying and replace it with something else? And I think the what if one is powerful because, saying to yourself, but what if I'm actually capable of this? It's not some crazy thought. It's not like an out there like thought that's going to make you think, oh God, but that feels uncomfortable. It's just a curious, well, what if? Actually, what if? So really start looking at what you're saying to yourself and reframing it as often as you can. So, and I promise you, if you really get disciplined with this and you do it, the impact you will notice within a few weeks is huge. And the best part is that then you'll start to do it automatically. And then those new thoughts will just be a new way of thinking, and you'll have completely upgraded your brain's operating system, the way you think. You'll literally rework your neural pathways. Like, it's so powerful. So it's such an important part of this journey of really getting ourselves from hypnotizing and casting spells on ourselves, essentially, that we can't do something, to changing and realizing, actually, I can actually bloom and do this. The fourth thing I want you to do is I want you to write a letter from your future self. I want you to write a letter from your future self, and I want you to really take some time to do this and really deeply emotionally connect with your future self. What would 90-year-old you tell you right now? What is she going to say to you? What does she need you to know? What does she need you to know about the steps and the actions and the way you need to show up right now and the way you need to treat yourself? What does she need to tell you? She already knows. She already knows. Let her tell you. Honestly, let her give you the biggest, kindest, warmest hug that you need from yourself, and let her pour that love on you and allow yourself to embody that and embrace that. So write your letter from your future self. What would 90-year-old you tell you right now? Make some time to go and do it. I promise you, it's such a powerful exercise. The fifth thing that I want you to do is I want you to collect evidence that your dreams are possible. I want you to start paying attention, opening your eyes to collecting the evidence. The more you do this, the more your brain is going to start to look for evidence that you can do this. So maybe start a notebook or a journal where you write down everyday evidence that you are going to be able to do this. Maybe it's a story that you see. Maybe it's a win that you had that day and something you did. Maybe it's something you read in a book that made you realize, I can do this. But I want you to write down evidence that it's possible. Evidence. Give your brain the task of finding you evidence that you can do this, because so often we default to being in a place where we give ourselves evidence that we can't actually do it. And that's what we need to break the cycle of. So evidence that you actually can do this. And the sixth and final thing that I want you to share in this episode is surround yourself with empowering reminders of what you can make possible. I did this and it's so powerful. I literally put inspirational quotes. I put affirmations everywhere, all over my walls. I had it on my phone screensaver. I put post-it notes around the place. I had it so I saw it in the morning when I woke up. I saw those words throughout the day, and I saw them when I went to bed. And again, talking on the theme of casting ourselves spells, it's powerful because then it sinks into the subconscious. When you start to see those messages all the time, you start to completely reshape the way you think, the way what you believe is possible. So get inspirational quotes and stick them everywhere. I'm pretty sure we've got some packs, so I'll put a link in the show notes to ones that we've created, and you can go and download them for free. But it's so powerful. Words are powerful. So start to put them all around you. Words that are going to empower you to move forward in the direction of your dreams, to help you to show up the way you want to show up. And if you do those 6 things, they're really small, but they're super powerful, and they have the ability to change your entire life. You have the ability to change your entire life. Don't let anyone make you think that you can't. Don't let yourself tell you that you can't, because you can. And you're here for a one-time experience. So do the work that you need to do so that you can get to the place that you want to be, because you owe it to yourself to do that, and you can do that. Surround yourself with good people, immerse yourself in all this kind of stuff that's going to help you to move forward, because you deserve to live an amazing life, and you're here to live an amazing life. You wouldn't be listening to this podcast if you weren't meant to. So I really hope you've enjoyed this episode. Message me on Instagram at I am Carrie Green. I'd love to hear your biggest takeaways. And if you've not already subscribed to this podcast, then go subscribe on Apple. It helps me to get the podcast out to more people, and it'll give you a little reminder when I release new episodes too. But go do this work, and I will see you next week for another episode of the She Meets Business Show.